This debris is all that remains of a section of a 9-story residential building in Kyiv that was struck by a Russian missile on May 14th. The strike obliterated 18 apartments and killed 24 civilians, including 3 children. Fragments of the missile were scattered across the scene. As Ukrainian authorities later established, it was a Kh-101 cruise missile, one of Russia's most widely used weapons in large-scale attacks against Ukraine. Over more than 4 years of the full-scale invasion, Kh-101 missiles have been used to strike residential buildings, energy infrastructure, and even a children's hospital in Kyiv. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, the missile that hit the building was manufactured this year.
Виробництво другий квартал цього року, і це означає, що компоненти для виробництва ракет, необхідні ресурси та устаткування Росія в обхід глобальних санкцій все ще завозить.
According to Ukraine's military intelligence, Russia may now be producing up to 70 Kh-101 missiles every month. If that estimate is correct, Russia is making significantly more of these missiles today than it did before the full-scale invasion. How is it possible? When people talk about the Western technology inside Russian missiles, the focus is usually on microchips and electronic components, which continue to reach Russia through intermediary countries. But missiles aren't just electronics, they are also built from metal. And manufacturing the metal parts used in modern missiles requires highly specialized industrial machinery. Machinery that Russia does not produce in sufficient quantities. Our investigation found evidence that European-made metalworking equipment continued reaching Russian defense plants during the war. And at the center of this all is an unlikely figure, a European Union national. So we tracked him down. Before we go into the details of this story, I would like to remind you that the Kyiv Independent is funded by its audience. We are able to do independent reporting and investigations like this thanks to our members. Become one today and help us continue reporting from Ukraine. Building a modern cruise missile is a highly complex industrial process. Before it can be assembled, thousands of individual components have to be manufactured, from electronics and engines to the metal parts that make up the missile's body and internal structure. The metal parts have to be strong enough to survive launch, flight, vibration, heat, and impact forces, while also being light enough to travel hundreds or thousands of kilometers. Producing those metal components requires highly specialized industrial machinery. Hydraulic presses that shape metal under enormous pressure, making it stronger and more durable. Heat treatment furnaces that alter the metal's internal structure, giving it the required hardness and resistance to stress. CNC machine tools that cut and shape components with extreme precision, often measured in fractions of a millimeter. Before the full-scale invasion, European manufacturers from countries like Germany and Italy were among its most important suppliers.
Many Russian facilities were either originally built or modernized, likely modernized using Western technology, specifically European technology in this case. As a result, we can see that European equipment and spare parts and any upgrades are often needed to actually maintain the existing production lines, making replacement more difficult when access to original suppliers is restricted.
After 2022, the European Union significantly expanded restrictions on the export and re-export of many such machines to Russia. But that didn't stop some of them from reaching it anyway. Russian customs data obtained by the Kyiv Independent reveals that in 2023 and 2024, Russia imported equipment produced by German, Italian, Spanish, and other EU manufacturers. The machinery includes CNC lathes, metal heat treatment furnaces, hydraulic presses, aluminum disc pre-assembly machines, and more.
Based on my review of this equipment, taken together, this is not a random set or basket of ordinary industrial goods. We are talking about these looks like more core capabilities for modern metallurgical production line and can potentially support Russia's defense industrial base.
Leaked Russia's customs data indicates that this EU-made equipment was purchased by two Russian metallurgical plants under common ownership: Aluminum Metallurgy Rus, known as AMAR, and Stupina Metallurgical Company, known as SMK. According to the experts we spoke with and Russia's state records we reviewed, both plants supply a number of Russian defense manufacturers, including those behind the production of the Kh-101 cruise missiles. In this video, the director of the management company that runs both plants personally names their customers in the Russian defense industry.
Кто является главными потребителями вашей продукции?
Это традиционно авиационные наши предприятия, предприятия космической отрасли, также предприятия, которые представляют военно-промышленный комплекс, такие как Курганмашзавод, Авангард, Смоленский авиационный завод и так далее.
The list includes the Smolensk aviation plant, which, according to Ukrainian intelligence, supplies components for the Kh-101 missile.
According to the public data of the war and sanctions of Ukrainian military intelligence, we can see that semi-finished aluminum products of the AMR production becomes part of the Kh-101 missiles.
So how did this equipment end up in Russia despite the ban? The answer is Redwin Metal, a Turkish company. According to the customs records, they are behind the actual shipments of the machinery in question. Redwin Metal was established shortly after the beginning of the full-scale invasion and is co-owned by, you guessed it, our mysterious EU national. His name is Alexander Tatarsal, a Dutch national who resides in Switzerland. How do we know about his connection to Redwin Metal? It's reflected in the company's corporate documents. But he also told us himself.
Yes, I'm a co-owner in Redwin Metal. I am a European national, and this is, as you said, all very sensitive information.
Tatarsal declined to discuss the shipments, citing confidential agreements with buyers. However, an Italian manufacturer of CNC lathes confirmed to us that in 2023 it did sell equipment to Redwin Metal. The agreement explicitly prohibited re-export to countries, areas, or entities subject to restrictive measures. In other words, it was never meant to reach Russia, yet it did. Involvement in re-exporting goods to Russia is sensitive indeed, as Tatarsal himself admitted. So why would he be involved in this? Well, his connections to Russia didn't start with the full-scale invasion or Redwin Metal. They date back at least 10 years. And by 2019, Tatarsal was already appearing here, on the territory of the AMAR metallurgical plant in Russia. It is the same plant that received machinery shipments from the Turkish intermediary Redwin Metal, and the same plant that produces metal components for Russia's Kh-101 cruise missiles. AMR, just like SMK, the other metallurgical plant that received European equipment through Redwin, is owned by Nikolai Timokhin, a prominent Russian businessman from a family that is highly influential in Russia's defense industry. Timokhin is the son-in-law of Igor Zavyalov, deputy head of Russia's state defense conglomerate Rostec. Since marrying Zavyalov's daughter, Timokhin has acquired stakes in a number of Russian industrial companies, sometimes in partnership with the state-owned giant Rostec. Actually, my question is, how and when did you meet Nikolai Timokhin?
Well, you are a journalist, and you're going to publish this?
Yes, we are journalists.
Okay.
So, do you know such guy?
I mean, I don't know you.
Whether Tatarsal and Timokhin ever met or not, we have found evidence in multiple registries that the two had vast business connections. For years before 2022, Tatarsal collaborated with Timokhin's plant as the CEO of a network of trading companies in Switzerland, Germany, and the United States that handled the plant's global exports. In simpler words, Tatarsal ran a network of Western distributors that formed an integral part of Timokhin's business group. These long-standing pre-war ties help explain why a European national would later emerge as the co-owner of a company supplying machinery to the same Russian plants despite the war.
The EU banned the export of instruments like CNC machines, furnaces, hydraulic presses to Russia However, they still went to Russia through Turkey, in this case, yeah? And here I'm pretty sure that this person is doing it knowingly because he used to have connections with the army before.
In a later written response, Tattersall told us that he was only partially familiar with the operation of Red Metal, the Turkish company which, I'll remind you, he co-owns. I'm a part-time consultant for the Turkish company Red Metal and have limited knowledge of the operation of this company. To the best of my knowledge, Red Metal has never been involved in any schemes of shipping sanctioned goods to Russia. Whether Alexander Tattersall bears any legal responsibility of these shipments is a question for investigators. But this investigation is about more than one man. It reveals a broader problem. Despite years of sanctions, European-made industrial machinery continues to reach Russia's defense-linked enterprises through intermediary countries. The result is measured not only in customs records and corporate registries. It is measured in missiles and in the lives lost when those missiles strike Ukrainian cities. Thank you for watching. If you would like to join our community and help us continue producing independent reporting from Kyiv, you'll find a link in the description below.